It's Friday, November 12th, 2021, half moon Wan Pra. Wan means day in Thai. Pra means monk, monk day. And it's the waxing half moon. And Ajahn Ñāṇiko just has been here for about 12 days and has returned to England. A very good visit. It's very great to have him here. So thinking about teachers, and for Ajahn Ñāṇiko in particular, just having not seen him in 3 years and then just seeing him now during this visit, and he really hasn't gone out very much during this pandemic period, and this was really his first big trip since the beginning of lockdowns, March, April 2020. So it's very good to reconnect, and he was commenting a few times that we had this multi-day limited number Kathina event here at Abhayagiri, and hearing the children and families talking and chatting and kids running around. And it'd been a while since he had seen that, experienced that, so it's quite wonderful to kind of get back into somewhat of a ordinary mode. Also thinking a lot about Ajahn Liem, because they had the Kathina there, and I was able to speak with one of the monks in Thailand, Ajahn Moshe, and he sent me some more pictures of their Kathina at Wat Kokchan, and at the Ajahn Liem turning 80, so it was a very special occasion, and his 80th birthday also coincided with their Kathina day, and so they did this Chula Kathina, where they have, at the beginning of the Vasa period, back in June, July, planting cotton and then growing it throughout the rains retreat throughout the monsoon season, and then actually harvesting it, and then in a single day spinning the cotton, weaving the cotton into traditional cloth, offering the cloth, and it being that very cloth being sewn into a robe, all on the same day. And not only was the cloth woven and so on that day, but it was woven and then placed on an elephant and marched into the monastery. There was 2 elephants, and 2 large tusker elephants. One was carrying the Kathina cloth, and another was carrying a large picture of Ajahn Liem on top of it. And then these elephants came in and sort of bowed down, and the Kathina cloth was sort of offered by these elephants, and then taken down and offered to the Sangha. And looked like there was like 200 monks there, 250 monks, and they did ceremony at the newly completed chedi that Ajahn Liem's been working on. So quite an occasion, and just thinking about him and his life. And also thinking quite a bit about like leadership, because seeing Ajahn Ñāṇiko has become such a great leader in the Sangha, and such an important figure, being the abbot of Amaravati, and how leadership is a very interesting thing, that you can actually, based on the timing and the quality and the manner of your decision making, it can have a tremendous impact on Buddhism, on the Sangha, and on the world. for an impact for good based on how skillfully we make our decisions and the kind of way we decide to conduct ourselves. And how much you achieve in your life is actually proportional to how much you're willing to sacrifice also. And if you want to actually achieve everything, then you sacrifice everything. So that's the big ethos in the Wat Nong Pa Pong Lumpur Cha Sangha. If you're happy with just halfway, then you can sacrifice halfway. If you want to go all the way, you sacrifice all the way. And so when we practice, it's not always pleasant. Sometimes we're tired. Sometimes we don't want to meditate. Sometimes we don't want to do the practice. Sometimes we want to be doing something else. But because of our duties, we need to be doing something. We might prefer to be doing something else. But we just make ourselves present, and the samana, one of the epithets for the samana is one who does what has to be done. So for the one who seeks peace or the one who seeks liberation, whatever needs to be done, whatever's placed in front of us, then we do that. We do what needs to be done, and then we let it go and move on. And that's how we flow through life. Lumpur Liem epitomizes the way of non-suffering. This is a phrase that Lumpur Sumedho uses as well, the way of non-suffering. The Dhamma practice is the way of non-suffering. And that Lumpur Liem, that humble quality and non-greedy, non-angry quality, non-deluded quality, always alert, mindful, but peaceful and relaxed as well, always personifying those Dhamma qualities. It's like no matter how difficult things got at Wat Pah Pong, no matter how crazy the situation, you never see Lumpur Liem express anger or frustration or even irritation. I think the most extreme things I ever saw, and I didn't live with him for that long, it was 5 months during the Vasa, and then living at Wat Pah Pong for 1 month at another time, but always crossing paths, always going to pay respects during my own time in Thailand, and of course his visits here, and it all adds up into a relationship and something. And every monk, every senior monk has their different personalities, and so one thing I picked up on was even though Lumpur Liem doesn't express anger or attachment in any way, and he just emanates non-suffering, there are signs to see if he's like dissatisfied with the situation, and one of them is I noticed when there's like some really inappropriate situation that arises, or somebody does or says something that's really out of line, then he'll take his Thai oil out of his, and start like rubbing it on his nose. And I noticed that showed that he was like there's a bad smell, and that showed he was like dissatisfied with that situation. I noticed him do it a few times, and it was very clearly when something like that smelled bad was like a situation arose that was like distasteful to him or that smelled bad, and he would take the oil out and kind of rub the fragrant Thai oil on his so it was very subtle. But yeah, coming back to that sense of of sacrifice, or just doing what needs to be done. And so it's not just doing things because we want to do things or out of a sense of restlessness, but doing something because it's important to do it. It has some sort of benefit. So using our energy, we only have a limited amount of time and energy in a single day. So like gauging ourselves and seeing what's actually going to be beneficial, both for ourselves and for others. And then moving in that direction, using our energy in that way. And then over time, that builds up into that sense of letting go. And if we want to follow the path of non-suffering, it also comes along with a contemplation of anicca, or that seeing of impermanence. Of course, as we know from the teachings, what defines the stream enterer is one who, like you always see that phrase that the Dhamma eye opens, they know whatever arises ceases. Whatever arises ceases and is not self, and there's no doubt about it. Whatever arises ceases. And so the implication of that is that we stop chasing after things that arise and cease. Because we say, well, if whatever we get, what goes along with that is whatever we get is lost. Whatever we gain goes away. Whatever pleasant feeling we have changes. Whatever praise we get is impermanent. Anything, both mental and physical, it changes, and it's always changing. And not only is it changing, but it's whatever arises ceases, but ceasing is also arising. So arising, ceasing dhammas, these are actually, arising and ceasing is of the same nature. That's the deeper meaning of impermanence. So it's been a pretty busy and a pretty long couple weeks. I'll just leave you with those short reflections this evening.